Placing my hands on my heart. Taking in that deep breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this time to come together. Grateful for the teachings of A Course in Miracles. Grateful for Jesus' presence in our lives. Grateful that He is showing us the way to live a life of love, including loving ourselves. Grateful for the opportunities to see the blocks to love that we have created and to surrender those blocks to the altar and just watch them be resolved and resolved. God bless you. So grateful for the opportunity to come together and witness greater understanding in each other's lives of how to live a life of love. Grateful for all of our earthly and heavenly helpers. We ask that they join us, surrounding and supporting us now, leading us and guiding us, giving us clarity, wisdom, strength, courage, all the spiritual qualities that we need to be a healing, loving presence in the world. And we're grateful that we get to share the benefits of our own healing and expansion with everyone because we are one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
So chapter 12, the investment in reality and seeking and finding. Does anybody want to begin our sharing?
I would like to begin, and I shared this with you yesterday, Linda, but last week I had gotten triggered by something I thought I had read in the text, and it just really got off on, it really triggered something in me. But this week when I read through it, I couldn't find that part that supposedly triggered me, so it was just kind of strange.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Isn't that
well,
funny? Yeah. It's the trickster ego. Maybe what you read wasn't really there, or maybe when you read it the second time, it just didn't trigger you. It's be more my thought.
Well, whatever it was just such a reversal that it was kind of a funny feeling of, I was so convinced I had read that, and then I couldn't find anything even similar to what I thought I had read.
Yeah. Yeah. Carla, were you going to share something about that?
Well, it's just about the course, but it's a personal experience where I took a class like 15 years ago, and in the correction I read a paper, and there's a list, and being authentic was on that list, and this is way before the course and Jennifer and everything, that I really felt I wanted to be authentic, and I feel that I have brought that to the surface, I guess. And I found that article. It was in that same magazine in an old drawer about 2 weeks ago. And I looked at it, and I looked at that article, and there was not one thing about being authentic there. So I saw it. It was for me in that moment, and that was helpful. And I just let it go because it served me. So.
Thank you for sharing that, Carla.
Yeah, thank you. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to share from what we read this week, or anything else, or comment on what Deborah and Carla have shared? Yeah.
Well, I have to leave soon, so I read this, and sometimes I don't, but I did this week, but I didn't highlight anything, and so, but my eyes went to this line, right, when I opened the book. Salvation is for the mind. It's the investment in reality, the first line in paragraph 5. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. And sometimes when I don't feel peaceful, I just say that word over and over again in my mind. And I don't know if it's retraining my mind, and things seem to kind of shift. It's like, it seems different all the time, the focus, but it's not. Peace is a really huge focus for me. So that's all.
Thanks, Carla. So it's the word peace that you say over and over in your mind? Yeah. Yeah. Penelope.
Oh, it's so interesting that the word peace has come up. I phoned into I was on the Sacred Circle call last Thursday with Jennifer. And I told her everything that I was doing in terms of my practice. And I asked her if, like, this constant thing where I'm getting all these different physical symptoms coming up, it was just something that I was needed to just accept right now, or was there something else I could do? And there were two things that Jennifer suggested, one of which was to work with, we covered it last year in Mars for Living, where we write out the sentences, I'd like, I need, I want, and then the deep desire of the heart. And she said, you can go further and do it, and my intention is to be. And I started off writing sentences about wanting my health, wanting to have perfect health, and was working through them. And then when I got to the deep desire of the heart bit, I was thinking, actually, it's not what I want. And by the time I was writing the intention, my intention is to be, what my intention was, I think it began in the deep desire of the heart, was I actually wanted peace. And I wanted to experience peace in my mind, in my body, in my emotions. And I just suddenly thought, yeah, this is so different, because it felt like that somehow I was attaching and holding on to something by wanting health. And then when it didn't show up how I perceived it would, in other words, completely healed, that in itself was not creating peace by any means. And I've got the ACIM WhatsApp on my phone now, so I've got this constant reminder going, peace. And I've got about, I think it's 5 different variations on an intention. My intention is to be, and then I've also made the statement, I am. So I've got, my intention is to be wholeheartedly peaceful. My intention is to be the peace I'd like to see. My intention is to experience peace in my mind, in my body, etc. So I've got 5 different variations of this, and that feels so much better. So thank you, Carla, for bringing up peace.
Thanks for sharing that, Penelope. That seems very helpful. Because, I mean, what it made me think of is, there's a part in the course, I can't remember where it is, and I can't say it word for word, but something about you don't even know what will make you happy. You say you want the peace of God, but you don't even know what will make you happy. So that sounds like, yeah, if I had the peace of God, that'll make me happy.
And it's interesting, Linda, because that what you've just said as well is cropping up for me a lot at the moment, where I actually recognise I have no idea what I want. So if somebody was to ask me something about anything right now, other than establishing I'd like peace, I have got absolutely no idea. And it's kind of cool to actually recognize that and think, well, I don't know. So, you know, Spirit does need to decide for me.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Robin.
Hi, everyone. That right there is like huge, what you said, Penelope, and coming off of Carla. So I'm all, even though since retirement, wondering, well, what is my purpose now? What am I to do now? And I try to let go and relax, knowing that what I desire is to rest in God. But it still doesn't help that ego sneaking in and saying, yes, but you don't know what your purpose is. And it's confounding to me when I think about going about in the wider world and bumping into people and they're like, Robin, hi, what are you doing? And I love that maybe I could say, I have no clue what I want, and I'm just leaving it open to for inspiration. I mean, I don't know, but that was very helpful. So thank you both. And it helps me have I'm just resting in God thinking, oh, I don't have to prove anything, which it seems like you do. And those labels of being a preschool teacher, or I would call myself a support resource person. And I don't even have that to share anymore, But anyway, that was really big, and thank you so much.
Okay. This isn't part of the reading, but we read it like 2 weeks ago maybe, and I left and I didn't share it. And in chapter 14, I think it's the last section, paragraph 12. I'll just read this one line. And it really resonated for me with what you said, Robin, which is why I'm reading it. Those who remember always that they know nothing and who have become willing to learn everything will learn it. It's been huge. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. And thank you, Robin. I mean, what a liberating statement that is. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just leaving myself open to whatever I'm guided to do. Like, oh my gosh. Like, that just makes my heart burst open.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's daunting. It's daunting because the director of the school is after 25 years retiring, and I knew her in other ways before, and so it's a big deal for the school, and it's a big deal for me. And except for just going to the school, I do summer camps. And I've just started doing a little subbing, but I really don't want to see the masses. I have forgotten names, even though I was so totally into their lives. And there's going to be a big function. And I'm like, oh God, please don't make me do this. But I know that I am to do it. And I'm beginning to hold it in the light, have an intention with blessings towards myself and everyone, and starting to let go of the fear. I mean, when I got the invitation, or when I'm in a little mindfulness group with 4 of the preschool teachers that we've been together for a long time, And when they brought it up, I felt terrified. And fortunately, one of them who's still working there felt terrified. So that was great. So, yeah, so this is so lovely. And I have learned that I do not want to make any decisions, especially the ones that feel important and large, without a knowing. And my knowing at this point is to change my mind, to choose love, to make the intention, to pray that blessing prayer, and to start scaffolding, not start calming the ego down. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Anybody else have anything you'd like to talk about, whether it has to do with the reading or something else that's been said here so far
Well,
today?
one little phrase that I wrote down that caught my attention with the last part of the reading I'd done was that sickness equals separation. I thought that was really profound. It always comes back to that separation idea.
Yeah. Yep, I think so too.
And the only way I know how to deal with that is just to keep repeating to myself that I'm one with God. I mean, is there any other trick to getting that to sink in?
Not that I know of, just repeating it. And even if I'm not feeling it, just knowing that it will sink in eventually is helpful for me. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts or ideas on that. But practice, and repetition has worked for me most of the time. Rand.
My little pointer finger that I messed up yesterday, I got a Band-Aid on it, so I can't. Well, I'm sort of in that extreme separation phase of the life right now because, I'm not really very well and I don't get out these days. And so I'm homebound and have been all winter. And so I'm in that separation phase. Even my spouse is sort of in the separation phase with me. So everything is sort of in that mode. And so, yes, I am looking for more ways to alleviate and get beyond this separation. I know the separation had its start with an egocentric life, which I led for many, many years, and looking for ways to make myself special and separate. And but yet, no matter what I do these days, it seems like the sickness is so overwhelming that I just seem to spiraling down that separation hole, to be in a separated space.
And how do you deal with that, Rand? Is there anything that brings you peace in that?
I kind of stay in a one day at a time sort of mode, but I can look back occasionally and say, things are definitely a lot worse than they were a year ago, and a lot worse than they were 2 years ago, and a lot worse than they were 3 years ago if I look at the past. And I try not to future cast that too much. But what gives me peace is just to stay optimistic, to stay in love, practice the things I'm practicing now, to be there, do my studies, and be content with that, and know that I don't really know the meanings of all this separation, what it's here for, or anything. But it's weird. It's a scary little story. So I'm open to any other ideas. I like that one. I'm one with God. I'll keep that as a mantra. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
But
sharing.
I've heard over and over when we study the lessons or the course, this, sickness is the ultimate form of separation, and dang, I don't know how to get out of this hole.
Yeah, it's still something I struggle with because, does that mean that we're being blamed for our own illness?
Yeah. Because mine
And
started at a very young age. I was born with Crohn's disease, and so separation started very early. So it's a pattern I've kind of lived on and off all my days.
yeah, I know one of the things that helps me, because it's not really anything I've ever read, but when it lands on me right, it feels helpful, and hopeful, is that Jennifer has said that I signed up for a very challenging curriculum this time around.
Oh, yes.
And just to know that the work that I am doing that helps me through it one day, one moment at a time is beneficial for everyone.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
One of the other aspects of my life that I've noticed that I didn't get into looking at astrology until I've been married 3 times. But I found all these interesting patterns, and one of them is the North Node tells you what you're trying to obtain in this lifetime. And it's really kind of difficult. It's a belief, of course. Astrology is all a belief. But one of the things that came up was, the North Node for me was in relationships. And dang, even before I knew about all this, I'd been through 3 marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah, there seemed to be some truth there, I suppose. But I'm not willing to say it's a truth or not, because I don't really know. I look at it, study, it's interesting, but I won't call it a truth. But yeah, I'd signed up for one of those graduate level courses, I think.
Yeah, I would say so, brother. Absolutely.
All right, I'll pass on to the next person who want to share something. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My advice is just keep laughing and enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Arms up in the air.
Hey, Linda, it's Nisha.
Yeah, that roller coaster.
That's right. That's right. Hi, Nisha.
Sorry, I have this dog here, so I didn't want to turn my camera off and make everyone crazy because she's running around. Actually, is that Rand? You just spoke
Yes.
about graduate level.
Yes.
I think you always show up as a happy person to me, and you spread joy. And I think based on what you said, you had something from birth. I couldn't catch that, but you have this health issue from a long time ago. And honestly, you're like hashtag goals for me. Because if I was looking at you, I wouldn't even know that you never complain about it in that way that I would. So
Well,
I don't know if that makes.
I probably did complain a lot at one point, but I've kind of learned.
I know.
Yeah. We kind of
but
let
you
that
show up with a
victimhood
smile.
go.
Yeah. So I have a question, because maybe the dog was running and I didn't catch it. Why are you housebound? I didn't understand that. Are you housebound?
Yeah, pretty much. My feet and hands are numb, and every muscle in my body is sort of in some sort of spasm, if you'd call it, or muscle rigidity. And yeah, I get out of the house on my scooter. I'm looking forward to some warm days. Even if I don't feel good, I will probably get out.
Yeah.
Thursday here, it will be 76 in Eugene, Oregon. So you got to get out on a warm day in the springtime. So regardless how I feel, I'll be out.
So here's where the control freak side of me, type A, bangs right against the course. If I was I'm a business strategy coach. Like I take people's businesses and make 10x. And so if I didn't give them solutions, I wouldn't be hired. And so this letting go stuff really bugs me sometimes because I'm like, the answer is so simple. And that's where I'm struggling with what you said. Like I really just see your energy and the hashtag goals again. But I would be like, okay, we do this, we do this, we do this. And to me, the solution is simple. But then I look at the course and it's like, nah, Nisha, you don't do that. So where does action come in? And all this passive stuff just can be like us using the course as a way to just not do anything.
Yeah, I think for me, if it's inspired action, then it's absolutely an action to be done. You know, if it's an action that you're doing either just out of habit or knee jerk,
Yeah.
however you would call it, or if that action is being done because there's a should behind it, or there's some kind of an attachment to it.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, then it may
So-
not be the action.
Like when you decided to go around the lake, that was an inspired action.
Yes.
And for Rand, what I would say, if I was his coach, which I'm not allowed to be based on the course philosophy, is, you know, I would move to a warmer climate where it's 76 all year round. To me, that would be obvious. And then I would create a business that you can do from home, lying in bed. So in days when you're feeling like, I use the expression shit on toast. I know people don't like it, but it really is like really feeling like crap. You don't have to get out of bed and you can spread joy. I had a friend with muscular dystrophy. He couldn't move any part of his body except his mouth. He needed an attendant 24/7, and he ran a business. He was doing stock trading, and he not only supported himself, but his sister who had muscular dystrophy, and his mom and his dad who had Alzheimer's. And so part of me is like, where do you stop? I do agree, I need more relinquishing. But then I also feel this, you know what I mean? I don't want to transgress, but I'll mute myself.
Oh, you're fine.
I would say you provide an incredibly valuable service for so many people, and that is just beautiful. And there's a time for yin and there's a time for yang, you know, and they complement each other. Speaking in the, you know, Chinese speak. And the course works oftentimes feels yin-y as in yin, but oftentimes the deepest work you can do is the work you're doing at that level, and it's a yang with inside of a yin. Yeah. And that's also a Chinese term, by the way.
Yeah, I can feel that.
And then, of course, the Taoists refer to doing without doing. And when nothing is done, nothing remains to be done. So I look at all world's wisdoms and I see that the story is written in different languages wherever we go, but yet they're all the same. They're all leading us to union with God, however you want to call it. But, oh man, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. What a great occupation to be doing.
Yeah. Robin, are you raising your hand, honey? Go for it.
Oh, I love all those quotes, Rand, and just think it's remarkable that you know them and can express them so easily. But Nisha, what came up for me is that and you're going to love this, where the Course in Miracles says you need do nothing. I mean, we all love it. But if you are doing what you're doing and your heart is in it, That's a signal. But I would just say accepting where you are. I'm trying to practice acceptance, what is. And as I'm accepting, I'm asking and I'm being grateful for what is. And then we start shifting because we are desiring to work in the spiritual realm. And we're doing that with our prayers. We're doing that with our readings, our conversations. Everything that you're doing with A Course in Miracles is what? Cumulative, and just and things will change without you having to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that does. So what I often tell my clients is, I'm going to give you some ideas. Some of them are just going to feel right, and some of them are not going to feel right. And I want you to pick up on the ones that make you go, yes, hell yes, or whatever you want to call it, and run with those. And they
Well,
often work better than the ones that I had that are just not resonating. Maybe great for someone else, but not for you. And
well,
I find that that's the one that generates the most revenue for them.
well, that's so beautiful because you're asking them to lead with their hearts. You are saying, find your joy. So that's just really, I think you're good.
Yeah, but it's not that I leave it up to someone else. So I say the answer will come to you or anything like that. I tell them, here
Yeah.
are 3 things that will work for you. Pick the one that works. So is that giving advice? And who the hell am I to know? I mean, it kind of messes with the course at some level.
Well, we all have other we've got our foot in A Course in Miracles, in the spiritual realm, and then there's our life. And in our life, or in our physical realm, I find it's all a practice. And I don't think the Course in Miracles is asking anybody to leave their job, to leave their spouse, because it doesn't fit in with the ACIM or Masterful Living philosophy or idea. That right. You are where you are. We are all where we are. And if we can, to me, this is where, and I'm going to stop, but this is where the quiet piece comes in for me. When I start questioning and I really don't know, to slow myself and to get quiet, to find that place of calm. And even if it's a moment, it's adding on to practicing and choosing love, even when I don't know what that looks like, or like what does look like love in this moment. But just practicing little things like slowing yourself down, taking that pause, centering. That's all I've got.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, Nisha, first of all, hello, everybody. I was just busy working away and I went, what time is it? So I almost missed the whole thing. So I'm glad I didn't. So I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about because I came in halfway, but it sounds to me, if I understand it correctly, is if you're a coach, people are paying you to give them advice. And that's a whole different ballgame than just giving your friend advice when they don't ask for it.
That's really interesting. Yeah, you're right. They do pay me for my expertise.
Right. So they're paying you for your service, which is your expert opinion and your advice. And I think that's kind of apples and oranges to me. I mean, it's different than if, let's say, Robin and I were talking and she's having a problem with something and maybe she just wants to vent or have prayer, and all of a sudden I'm giving her all these solutions and she didn't ask me for my advice,
Right.
Just
yeah, and that is a cool perspective. And what I usually do is I will start by asking questions. So 50% of the call is just questions. And they kind of when they start to get really exasperated, like when she's actually going to tell me what to do, then I go into the solution. And then I end by saying, what bubbled up for you as the thing that feels good? And they've never had a coach ask them about their feelings. It's always in the head. And they go, oh, I have to feel something? I thought this was business. Yeah, it is business, but if you don't feel excited, you're not going to have any success.
Right.
So it works, but then again, I am controlling a little bit what's going on.
And I think that's just the attachment to the results or to the solutions, or because the client obviously is the ultimate decision maker, right? Of what they decide
Right.
to do. They can only take your advice so far.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks for brainstorming me. That was fun.
Yeah. And how lucky your clients are that they have a coach that is interested in being led and guided from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That you have enough self-awareness that you know that even if you give them 3 to 5 things as suggestions of what they can do, you're not attached to if they don't do every single one of them. You want them to find it within themselves what is theirs to do. And that's just so cool, because not a lot of business coaches or life coaches actually come from that perspective. So yeah, how lucky they are to have somebody that's interested in finding what brings them joy so that they can act on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Leslie.
Did you guys already talk about section 4, seeking and finding?
No.
Oh.
Do you want to? Yes, please start us off.
Okay, well, I just thought this part was fascinating. It starts just with paragraph 1, sentence 4. The ego dictates, seek and do not find love. Its journey ends in self-defeat. That just for some reason cracked me up. And then paragraph 4, sentence 1 and 2. The ego must set you on a journey which cannot but lead to a sense of futility and depression. To seek and not find is hardly joyous. I just thought that was so cute how he said that. To seek and not find is hardly joyous, and we're all like, well, duh, that's so true. You know, when you're seeking, it's just like if you're looking for something, you can't find it. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit in sentence 5 in paragraph 4 says, the Holy Spirit says, seek and you will find. You will undertake a journey because you're not at home in this world. If you believe your home is outside you, the search will be futile, for you will be seeking where it is not.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, again, it's so funny how we always circle back to the same thing, that happiness is not out there. And we all know that happy doesn't matter. You know, Linda, if your husband all of a sudden was cured from his kidney disease,
Right.
That's not going to make him happy. It's not going to make you happy. You might think it will, but deep down, you know that it's not.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit remembers where your home is, and he will guide you because that is his mission. And then paragraph 7 in chapter 1, the atonement is not the price of your wholeness, but it is the awareness of your wholeness. You must invest in it not with money, but with spirit. And spirit is willingness, and willingness is the price to the kingdom. Sounds pretty simple to me.
Yeah.
Not saying it's easy, but simple. You know, I mean, we know the ego is all about seeking and not finding. The Holy Spirit is all about love and finding. And the whole key to all of it is just to be willing.
Right.
And I know that sounds all like kind of fluffiness, but it works. I think every one of us could come up with an example where just being willing did work.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I really like that seeking and finding section.
Yeah. Well, to use your example, the whole idea that when Rudy had his kidney transplant, that was going to make us happy, and the expectations that we had around that. Who knows if we wouldn't have had those expectations, if our experience of what happened would have been different.
Did you guys, Lindsay? Because I know I was out of A Course in Miracles, and I'm sorry to take this little side trip.
No, that's all right.
He had a kidney transplant. Did it fail, or is it still good?
No, it's still good, but he was in the hospital 5 times last year. Wow. From complications. So
you really had to practice not being attached to
oh my God, yes. Yeah.
Because when you said last week that he was back to work, I was like, oh, he's back to work. That sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, he was only off for 6 weeks, and then, you know, whatever amount of time he was in the hospital last year.
You guys waited a long time, didn't you?
Yeah, 6 years.
Wow.
6
He
years.
was on dialysis that whole time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was so bad a couple weeks after the transplant that and I wanted to smack him so hard when he said it, but he said, if I would have known it was going to be this hard, I would have not taken the kidney transplant and just stayed on dialysis. So, you know, that right there tells me that our trust was misplaced in that moment.
Sure.
And
well,
I think
it's so easy to think that a cure is going to cure all your problems, or you're just going to be happy, and it's just not true.
Right.
It's not true. This was a long time ago, when I was very dysfunctional, I guess we can say, and kind of prior to my whole spirituality. And let's just say I had an eating disorder. Okay, I'm not going to go into all the details, but I just had it in my mind that if I weighed 118 pounds, I would be happy. And I will never forget how I felt when I got on that scale and I weighed 118 pounds. And I just thought, oh my gosh, now what? Now what? I'm 118 pounds and I'm still not happy. And I just remember feeling so lost and so alone and so depressed and just desperate. It was just awful. And I just always, when I talk to my mom or somebody about whatever out there is, I'm like, oh, that's her 118 pounds, you know, because everybody has something.
Right.
That missing something that's going to make them happy. And boy, and that was when I was 19, so it was a long time ago, and yet I still vividly remember. And I don't know why I chose that number 118, but I just vividly remember getting on that scale, and I just couldn't believe it. It was like, I had my goal, I had my discipline, I did everything, and nothing had changed. And I think that's what they're talking about in this section.
Exactly.
So I'm glad 30 years later, I know that my kingdom is within. It's a much happier and peaceful way to live, I'll tell you that.
Yep. Amen for that. Yeah. Yep. I know my 118 pounds is not a kidney, and it's not a miracle cure for Rudy or my mother or myself. It's my willingness to see the beauty and the joy in every little detail of every moment of every day. And my willingness to continue to see that, even if things are crappy, you know?
That's the kingdom within for sure. Yep. It does take great willingness for sure. And Rand, I don't know how you do it being in pain every day. That's challenging.
Yeah. Penelope, go ahead.
I just got, first of all, a mantra that I really love, and I picked it. It became really powerful for me in the mastery circle that I joined, and I think I really heard it very powerfully said by Liz Racy, and I'm offering it to Deborah as another suggestion. I am one with the one, and I always like adding, I am one with the one, and for this I am truly grateful. So I am digressing from the course a little bit here. I just wanted to also speak to Rand as well, because when I asked Jennifer this question in Sacred Circle last week, the other suggestion she talked about. And I didn't, it's not something I know a lot about, but she made reference to Emma Curtis Hopkins. And she was talking about the right use of denial. And this was the wording that Jennifer said in response to what I was asking. And I've been using this wording. I've been online and trying to look at some of the teachings of Emma Curtis Hopkins. But this wording that Jennifer gave me, which Jennifer, I think, also said that it can be used for anything, not just health issues and sickness in the body, but you can use anything, whether it's financial, whatever it might be. But I find this really powerful. And I think I find it powerful, and I'll read it out. I think partly it's because it acknowledges, so when I speak the words out loud, it acknowledges exactly what I'm experiencing, which I think is obviously what this right use of denial is referring to. But at the same time, I love the power of the words. This is what Jennifer says: that has no power over me. It's not that I don't feel this. It's not happening. I feel it. I'm experiencing it, but it has no power, has no validity, no volition, has no life. There's only one life, only one power. There's only one presence, and that is the power and the presence of God. And that is the active force in my life. There is no other power. And I think the other reason why I found this so helpful, because as Jennifer was saying, like in the reference I was making to with all the physical symptoms, and the symptoms are, some of them are old symptoms from all the health issues I've had over the years. And in my words, because I can't remember Jennifer's words, but basically I was aware that when I'm in pain, I attach to it, and I'm actually giving it power. And so this wording that Jennifer said on the Sacred Circle, I found so powerful, because it's not denying it, that I'm experiencing it. It's like that whole thing. It just feels kind of really comforting to me. But at the same time, the wording is just, as I say, just so profoundly powerful. So I don't know if that's of any help to Rand or anyone, but thank you.
Helpful for me. I wrote it down. I'll go back and listen to that Sacred Circle, because I missed it last week.
Wow, that's you're a fast writer, Linda.
Well, I didn't write it all down. I just wrote bits and pieces so that I can go back and listen.
And
maybe get the transcript. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Deborah, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, but what was just said was really helpful to me, because I'm also kind of homebound at this point and housebound, and it's a real adjustment mentally and physically to be able to not be able to just go out on your own when you see the sunshine and go out and sit in it and do what you would normally do. And it's just takes a whole different way of thinking about things. And all these suggestions are really helpful, because it's a minute by minute kind of survival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nisha, were you trying to share, or was she? Okay. Maybe she was just trying to mute her video. Robin, go ahead.
I think where I'm beginning to get a glimpse of deeper healing is noticing that every single, and this sounds overwhelming, but my life is in every single moment. And I notice that most often, just out of a wandering mind and old patterns, I'm noticing how judgmental, and of course that's not really anything new. The new part for me, I guess, is realizing, and I've recognized it, and now I'm really wanting to practice that every single moment especially if it is a false belief or negative thought or any of those, the list that fall under fear, that I cannot let anything bother me. Not once. I loved how you expressed yourself about your husband and your experience, and at the end you brought up the word crap, because I was just sitting there going, every stinking thing is for love and forgiveness. Just, and I say stinking thing because mostly I find myself thinking stinking thoughts or just, you know, not where I want to be. And the willingness, and it's like this determination, and although there is this turning over, and I think that intention of being determined to not give up, and to realize that with every moment, I must not let it bother me. I have to turn it over. I have to bring light to it. So I love the words opening up space so spirit can step in and do the work. But I just fill my spaces up with all these wandering thoughts. And so that's not anything new. What is new is really tending and paying attention and saying, I'm not going to let that upset me because it's nothing. It's an illusion. It's not real. And it's just hindering my awakening.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of what I was doing and feeling last Monday when I did make that right turn to go to the beach to walk. Was I was doing, and I could have continued the doing, and I did continue the doing after the walk, but it felt different because I was able to open up my vision and my hearing to see things that I could let go of that would allow me to still do what I have to do and have that time and space for myself to spend with spirit, with Holy Spirit, with myself, and where I could also be kind and gentle with myself about being in that space where I was just doing, and maybe avoiding the cries of my own heart that were looking for that space and that time to spend in silence and in, you know, quiet spiritual practice.
I mean, you were self-loving, you were nurturing yourself. It's the self-love that we tend not to do so easily. And that's part of that simplicity, is that it's about being gentle and kind and loving to ourselves.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I really liked about what Penelope was saying that Jennifer told her, is that it's not that I'm not feeling it or I'm not experiencing it, but I'm not willing to hand my power over to it. Yeah. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to share before we close out?
I guess I just wanted to say that we're each in our own curriculum.
Absolutely.
And the learning and the awakening is in the curriculum that the curriculum that you're in. And that's why you're in it, because you're learning the lessons that you need through that particular curriculum.
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's a purpose and a reason that we're all in our different curriculums. And it's all about helping us to learn the lessons to move forward into the joy and the bliss. And it's so sweet when you do get those extraordinary moments, I call them.
Yeah.
And it makes it real. You start saying, I know what's real now, and I want more. So I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share before we close out? Well, I want to thank you all for another beautiful call. So it seems like we didn't start off talking about what we read, but it all comes back around to what we read anyway. So I would love to continue in chapter 12 with, I think it would be 5 and 6, the same curriculum and the vision of Christ, which I feel will be very apropos as we head towards Easter, the vision of Christ. And then I'm going to close this with Deborah, did you have something you wanted to share before we close out, honey?
No, I was just taking notes on reading for next week. I'm really glad we're staying with chapter 12.
Yeah. Yep, it feels helpful. It really does. Thank you. So I'm closing us out with the insights from lesson 106 on Pathways of Light. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let yourself rest a while in oneness. There is no conflict there, only perfect peace and a deep sense of well-being. Here you recognize through experience that giving and receiving are the same. One undivided whole, giving all of itself to all. Eternal because it is changeless. Being filled up completely. Giving completely. Safe, happy, loving, loved, gentleness, being spirit. When I let myself open up to this state of mind, it is there, it is real. The world of separate bodies is nowhere and nothing. On the other hand, as I focus on the world of separate bodies, this world becomes very real and God's reality seems very distant. The Course tells us that we can have one or the other, not both at the same time. What an opportunity today to take 5 minutes of every hour to be still and listen to the truth, open to reality, feel the well-being and safety that comes with opening to God's peace and love and joy. I need to ask myself, what are my priorities? What is truly important to me? Where do I find my salvation? Where do I place my trust? How am I to be of service today? It is only as I am willing to be still and listen to the truth that I receive reality instead of illusions. As I am open to receive, so do I give. Today, I will nurture myself with the truth. I will allow myself to feel God's gifts of peace and joy. What is more important than this? When I allow myself to be still, the truth comes with a deep sense of peace. I experience no conflict as I look upon the world. I feel safe. This is the message I receive and the message I give. The message is, we are one. There is no difference. There is no distance between us. My job is to hold that awareness all through the day for myself and all my brothers. Sometimes I may express these thoughts in words for my brothers to hear with the body's ears. Sometimes it is best simply to hold those thoughts in my mind as I see with the vision of Christ my unity with my brother. It matters not if my brother seems to be dedicated to ego and heavily defended against the truth. I can still give the message in my mind, join with his, that we are one and the same, still love, as we were created. In the giving of that thought, it is returned to me, strengthening it in me. And Holy Spirit holds that thought for my brother in safekeeping until he is ready to receive it, just as he has held that thought for me. Today, I will be still and listen to the truth. When I went into work early this morning, I was told that my supervisor's mother had passed during the night after a downward struggle with heart disease. The immediate and normal reaction of my ego was sadness for my supervisor, her mother, and mostly fear for myself, as I too have a mother in her mid-80s whose health is also progressively declining. It is times like these that the constant practicing of these lessons, the constant repetition of the same thing over and over, as inconvenient as it can sometimes seem, that I see results and change in myself, results that are truly valuable, results that sustain me, results that give me hope. I quickly began to steady my mind in an attempt to escape the insanity and the fear, and I turned to the Holy Spirit for guidance. I must say I didn't hear anything. I didn't get an answer, but I felt peace. I went absolutely no further with the fear. I was actually able to let it go and just feel peace. Sometimes when I ask for guidance, I don't know what the answer is. But today I know that I don't always need to know the answer. All I need to do is be at peace. When I do that, everything starts falling into place. Life just seems to work. There's that peace again. Constant theme of the day. So thank you, everybody. I'll see y'all next week. Have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you.
Linda. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There were some beautiful nuggets, Linda, in that reading.
Oh, weren't there? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love how it always ties in with what we were talking about this whole time.
Yay.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.